Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. I had a couple of questions of what I've been doing, so I thought I'd just give you a little preview of what's to come. This is some of the testing that we've been doing on the server. I am running, at the current moment, as much as I can in terms of a swarm fleet. We are limited to 300 CP until I can get to, base level 9, and then get the 400 CP going. So it's not quite there. It is still 120 aircraft. Well, it's not currently in these videos. It's now up to 120. When we were testing this, I didn't have all the aircraft hangars built as of yet. I do now, so it's a bit close. It was at 108, I think, aircraft in this, so it's pretty close to swarm. I'm missing 12 aircraft or something like that. Still solar whales. I had the Damphyre on the front row, the HC Eris, dropping the Taurus there in favour of the Damphyre due to the fact that, well, it is just sort of better at the current moment. With the 12 CP cost of Taurus, I can't warrant it. Not at 300 CP especially. The HC Eris though at 10 CP I can definitely warrant. 10 Tundra in here as well within fleet. And yeah, then reinforce with the good old solar whale, just showing you that the CP cost of it matters to absolutely nothing. There's no CP cost on it, just ignore it. So yeah. Again, thanks to Ozzy though, he's been helping me test this out. He is running just a hyper damage fleet, I'm not gonna lie. He had all of the things that had all the big damage in the game at the current moment. We're talking, CTGs out. There's a couple of fights in here. You'll see Eternal Storms with the buffs going as well. IO with the buff going. Connemara Chaos with the buff going. And you'll see how much damage they really can dish out. And it's odd. It's quite an even fight. The AA changes seem relatively negligible, I'm not going to lie, as you'll see within the next couple of minutes as I show off some of these videos, these testing videos anyway. So that's it from me. We're going to jump into the video now, and you'll say goodbye to my face. I'm going to give the real estate up to the game, and yeah, give you a better view of what's going on and all that good stuff. There will be, obviously, be chatting over the top of it, though. So, hope you enjoy, and let's jump over. So first test, I am running the Swarm fleet here. We've got 5 whales out. We're only at 300 CP, unfortunately, and this is just a quick test. As you can see, I haven't even filled up the whales. We have 10 Tundra. These got Mistral and Strix on it. 2 Predator. Can't remember what I put on the Predator. And a bunch of solar whales. These are double Corvette with the large hangar bay. So 14, not 16 fleet there. Aircraft in the hangars there. And then we got the Damphyre, Strix. Oh yeah, we got Damphyre and the HC Eris. HC Eris at 10 CP on the pilot server I think is completely fine, so I don't see a problem running them. We've also got Damphyre there because I need a replacement for Taurus, because I do think 12 CP for the Taurus is too much. Just a quick little test. I don't know what Ozzy is bringing. I guess we'll find out shortly. But yeah, so I got Vetus Bees, Hayridans, Strix, Spore, Stingray, Mistral, only 2 Cellular Defender. That's something I'm topping up, but currently can't build them all. We have 15 high-speed missile corvettes and 15 Pulse T-800s in there. So this is probably a little bit too heavy on the AA side of things. But it should be reasonable enough. I could drop the spores and could have gotten more of the Cellular Defenders out, which I'll do at some point. But at the moment we're still leveling up the base. This takes forever to go through. It's 13 hours now for hangar level 2. So then I can finally get the 120 aircraft out. Then we need to sort of, get military port stuff up so I can expand, get the field command center. It takes a lot of time, unfortunately, and they don't actually give you much in the way of speed ups for the building of the base. So yeah, hopefully find some 400 CP fleets before the server ends, and then I can show those off as well. But this is just a quick one, just to give you an idea of how things are panning out now. This is a swarm setup, which isn't necessarily a good thing at the moment, and the game keeps crashing constantly anyway, so... So here we are, we've got the start of the battle. Yep, slight cut, you may have noticed, we had the game crash, so as it happens, unfortunately. Again, like in the last video I did on the pilot server, there's going to be a few cuts here and there. It's mostly due to the fact that, well, yeah, game crashes a ton. So we've got a nice little mix here. I do regret bringing the Predators and the Herodin in here. You see me remove them a bit later. I don't think they're actually necessary for me to use. But yeah, so as you can see, Jin's got IOs, we have CTGs, Connie Chaos, and there was some Cass Arcs, so a very heavy fleet here. A lot of TP going around on both fleets as well. I missed some for my aircraft and stuff, but the important aircraft all have them. So we got that going for us. And like I said, not 120 aircraft quite yet. Still working on that. But yeah, no, it's okay though. So here we go. He did have some T's in here, which were kind of hilarious because they just like instantly died. And didn't actually manage to do any AA at all. He was thinking that he's got a bit of CP left, you know, just test someone, well, one of the AAs out. I don't think that AA will be affected, honestly, because it already has row-wide anti-air. So the things that we need to test are previously things that would have been not row-wide, like counter-only, that were anti-air. So we got a few that we test a little bit later on, but you get an idea here that Swarm is still very, very viable against what is a very, very high damage, super heavy fleet, basically. It's Cruiser Plus. So yeah, but yeah, this is where I think some of these changes to the aircraft really don't matter. I think Corvettes aren't in the best of places in the first place. The only Corvettes that are worth anything is Cellular Defender in the T-800. There's a couple of, you know, top of A tier in there as well, but the majority of it, you only really want the S tier stuff anyway, so you don't actually need that many Corvette carriers. And the things that got nerfed in the pilot server are, at the end of the day, Corvette carriers. It's Guardian dual purpose. It was the AC-721 Corvette, Jaeger, and okay, there was a nerf to the Solar Whale, but as you can see, the nerf doesn't matter because, again, the Solar Whale comes in on reinforced, so the Solar Whale's nerf is like non-existent. I noticed in the last video, one of the comments that I saw on the Solar Whale nerf was actually increase the nerf, I think it was to 75 CP. And the thought process behind that I actually thought was quite good. It means that at 75 CP, at 300 CP fleets, you can only bring 3 Solar Whales, you can't bring 5. Which means that early game transition into the Solar Whale Swarm meta is elongated, you could say. You know, they can't do it at 300 CP, they can only do it a little bit later on, which brings down either they have to remove certain ships within fleet to try and get more aircraft in, or they just have to deal with the fact that they don't have a full contingency of aircraft with them. And I actually think that's quite a good change. So let me know down in the comments what do you think on that one. I can't remember the guy's name now, but yeah, it was quite a good one. He knows who he is, because I'm pretty certain it was the only comment mentioning the CP increase even further. I actually thought it was really good. So anyway, you can see here my front row is taking an absolute beating, and you'll see that the IOs and the Connemara Chaos do some work in the fleet that Jin's running. Those buffs now where they're hitting silly amounts of damage, really helping them out. And I have a relatively dodgy front row with a HC Eris in there. The Aldebaran not quite as dodgy, also lacking any sort of energy resistance, so they're just going to get demolished. But For 12 CP to try and bring the Taurus in, I just don't think it's worth it for the HP pool that they bring in with them either. So that's where we sort of are with the Taurus. And yeah, but you can see I'm about to lose a whale here. However, he has lost quite a few of his IOs. He's taken a beating. I believe he's lost a CTG at this point as well, or he's getting close to. And it's more or less pretty even this entire fight, which is pretty good going, to say the least. So you can see I'm pretty well off here. Yeah, I've got a lot of ships in middle row. I should have brought some form of ability to heal, even, you know, some Ceres or something. You'll see later on that I do switch a couple of ships out to bring some Ceres in. I drop the Predators, bring Ceres in, and it gives me a little bit more sustain. It's not traditional to run that kind of ship within Swarm, but it can fit. And I think you might as well try and get a little bit of sustain, because it's going to help you out if you go into like small battles where maybe, you know, you pick up a new player, and if you're a veteran, and, you know, they can do a little bit of damage. So trying to mitigate that damage a little bit does help a little bit. Again, if you're doing a bit of PvP or PvE, you know, you can mitigate a hell of a lot of damage the NPCs deal with some sustain. So I think just adding a little bit of sustain here is going to help out. So you'll see on the switch to the next battle, I've added some Ceres in here. I could have added Cass Ux, but I felt for the CP that I had remaining that I'd get more value out of multiple Ceres as opposed to one or two Cass. In hindsight, I don't think it really mattered. The Ceres did some pretty substantial amount of healing, but I believe that the Cass would have also done a pretty substantial amount of healing as well there. So yeah, our whales, we're almost about to lose a second one. He's almost losing a CTG though as well at the same time. So we're relatively sort of even trading now. And this is where we call it for this battle. We don't want to lose too much. We've got to rebuild everything, and it'll just delay our ability to rebuild. So we are moving on to the second battle here. This is where a couple of changes get made. I dropped the Predators. I just didn't find them worth running. I didn't want the Hayridans in fleet. I don't particularly, you know, rate Hayridan particularly well anymore. So I opted to drop the Predators and sort of deal with the fact that I'll have slightly less aircraft, and added in some Ceres in instead. I still got room on the Solar Whales, which is a bit of a shame. I believe I removed all the Hayridans and I turned them into more cellular defenders. That was one of the ones I was missing in the last battle. Well, missing some. And then I filled up the rest with cell defender, and then we're good to go there. Aussie here, he's dropped out CTGs and he is now running the Eternal Storm with a Plasma Caster. I believe he's got the anti-aircraft UAV system, and this was what we wanted to test here, was how well the UAVs were going to work on the Eternal Storm. Now, the issue here is that the Eternal Storm has to drop its probably best module, which is C3, the ability to like a flat percentage damage reduction against all incoming damage types. I think it's 10% for, I believe it's 10% physical damage reduction, 10% energy damage reduction, and it's all calculated prior to armor and stuff like that. So it's actually a very, very strong ability to, you know, 10% of like 300 damage, you just knock 30 damage off it, and now the armor only has to deal with 270 damage. It's actually quite it allows the Eternal Storm to be a little bit stickier, in my opinion, than the CTG. But again, you're having to drop the unfortunate best module, the armor system for it, to be able to bring those in. Unfortunately, the game crashed here again when I was clicking a couple of buttons. It seems to be having a bit of a hissy fit at me, this pilot server. So anyway, you'll see that the AA is actually really quite reasonable here, and we dealt some like pretty damn good damage. I'm not going to lie. To me, in terms of within only a couple of minutes, I believe this battle here was only about 2 minutes long, and he's done some pretty decent AA. 47k from Eternal Storms. It's not amazing. It's no Winged Hussar, but it's reasonable for what it is. Feel free to pause, have a look at the damage coming from my ships. See, most of it's coming still from the usual suspects. Sally Defender's not done too bad, considering there's only 10 of them. Oh, actually, no, I had 10 in this one, didn't I? C-800's pretty much doing most of the work there. Vetus Bs as well. A bit of damage from the series, the HC Eris and that kind of stuff as well. And the Aldebrow does reasonably well there as well. So moving on into the third and final battle. This is pretty much the identical one to the last battle, and we realised that his Connemara Chaos didn't actually have the TP on the secondary anti-air weapon system, so it wasn't doing anything, so this is just what we're testing here. Connemara Chaos has a counter-attack system on its weapon system. It should be quite good with the changes, being now row-wide, so we thought we'd test it out properly, and this is what this is. Both fleets are a little bit damaged here, although I managed to repair fully all my aircraft and rebuild them before the battle. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Aussie managed to fully repair his fleet, though. So he's at a little bit of a disadvantage to start here, and you kind of see that happening as stuff gets blown up. The Eternal Storm now with its buff, though, you see on screen, looks hilarious here. It's just got so many different weapons firing from like all over the place. It's quite hilarious to look at. Missiles and torps and lasers and all sorts of stuff going on. I believe we're also testing out D1 here instead of D2, or D2 instead of D1 on the Eternal Storm. D1 being one of them being the anti-ship laser that it has, and the second one being a anti-aircraft laser, so we thought we'd test those out. Needless to say, they're probably not going to be as good as the AA, which is a little bit unfortunate, and we can see here that my aircraft are having their way with his fleet, unfortunately, and his front flow is almost down, where most of mine's still up, and my aircraft have barely been touched, allowing me to just keep dishing out a horrendous amount of damage. The big thing with Swarm is if you don't have too much AA, they really do like hit above their weight because the ship's being quite healthy in the fleet more often than not, and they don't have to worry about losing damage too much. Okay, if you lose a ship, you could potentially lose a carrier, and if you lose a carrier, you lose a lot of damage potential. But the same instance is the same as like losing an Eternal Storm really would hurt a fleet. So it's not too bad in that terms, I guess. But at the end of the day, Swarm is still probably the most prevalent. My hybrid fleet does counter it, but then heavy, super heavy counters my counter to Swarm. So the rock paper scissors is sort of working in that instance. But because I have to make sacrifices within my hybrid fleet to bring in things like Winged Hussars and Light Cone AA, try and get as much damage out as possible. And yeah, we're coming up to the end of this fight here. We didn't really want to lose too many Eternal Storms. This Eternal Storm, though, is hanging on for dear life at 1%. The Oxcast barely keeping it alive there, which is quite funny to watch. I believe it goes down there. You can see the nice explosion. And that is pretty much it. We're retreating now. We didn't want to lose too many solar whales and stuff. They take a while to rebuild, and we are limited on resources in the pilot server. They do give you a lot of resources, but they give you so many resources that you can't genuinely, sort of rebuild and repair everything, because they give you too many that don't even fit in the warehouse. We can see again, pretty reasonable sort of amount there. We got 1.25 million damage to 1.22 million damage. I am over on the CP by quite a margin. That's again due to the fact that solar whales cost 55 CP in this server. But again, 55 CP doesn't actually matter to it because it's in a separate fleet and it gets reinforced. So, but yeah, you can see 200,000 there for series recovery, which is actually, you know, keeping up with the 300,000 from his auxiliary cast and his heavy fleet. So series still, don't sleep on it. If you are running, you know, enough Frigs Destroyers to tank for the series, they can do some work healing your fleet quite a bit. Nothing's changed there. But yeah, AA-wise, I feel that the AA changes so far, we haven't fully tested yet, obviously, don't really do much. What you might see is Swarm Fleet versus Swarm Fleet might be a little bit faster to kill off enemy aircraft. But yeah, the aircraft damage and stuff isn't particularly great. You can see here the cast only got 14,000 in a 3.5, well, almost 4-minute battle. There's nothing on the IOs. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the changes to don't really matter at all. The changes to the anti-air don't really seem to matter at all anyway. The ships that do good AA damage are still things like Winter's Heart AA. We are going to try a full-out anti-aircraft build, see how that goes, but we are still obviously testing a few other bits and pieces first. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what do you think. Obviously, I don't usually release these until I got more like substantial damage, but people kept asking, so here you go. If you like these kind of videos where I'm still testing and you get to like see how I'm testing and stuff like that, I always test full fleets. I never test, you know, ship versus ship or anything of that nature. It's just not worth it. That's not how you play the game. You play the game with fleets. You don't play the game with single ships fighting other single ships. So yeah, and always in a PvP environment. Again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.